Do you have a child that has been either diagnosed with or suspected of having Asperger's disorder? I'm Dr. Roy Picard, and my office is in Shelby Township, Michigan. I'm a licensed doctor of chiropractic, but what I utilize in my office is chiropractic neurology, functional endocrinology, nutrition, and brain-based therapies. I became board eligible in chiropractic neurology back in 2006, and in 2008 I became a certified DAN doctor. Now, DAN refers to Defeat Autism Now, and that was done through the Autism Research Institute. Now, my specialized postgraduate training, along with my 22 plus years in practice, is really important when it comes to working with children who have been diagnosed with Asperger's disorder. I'm going to explain to you the care that I offer and how it allows them to reach their optimum level of physical, mental, social, behavioral, emotional, and academic performance. Concerns with children diagnosed with Asperger's are, generally speaking, in regards to the nonverbal or lack of social understanding. Often these kids will become frustrated with the inability to express themselves and with the inability to feel that they are being understood. Sometimes this frustration can lead to aggressiveness. The difficulties with social settings and nonverbal communication can often lead to uncomfortable situations. People often judge those with Asperger's as being, let's say, different, and which can make any further attempts to socialize even more difficult for the child. As a result of having an inability to see the whole picture, and because they tend to be more interested in the fine details and everything, it can be very difficult to communicate and difficult to socialize, which can lead to isolation, guilt, and any further depression. Now, once they become aware that they are different, and if it's not handled properly, their lives can be ruined. Often, children with Asperger's lack the fluid grace or coordination of other children their age. Depending upon the age of the child, they can often become the target for teasing, abuse, and bullying. Now, of course, most parents are thankful that their child is not severely autistic. However, the parents still share in the pain that their child experiences. Now, what, if anything, can be done for these kids? When you look at the brain as two hemispheres, the right and the left, we begin to understand that each hemisphere is associated with different tasks or different characteristics. In other words, one hemisphere is more associated with fine, detailed analytical types of processes, whereas the other is more involved with social, nonverbal communication, big idea types of thinking and processes. These kids, along with others on the spectrum, have a common finding. It's known as the functional disconnection syndrome. The functional disconnection syndrome describes how a hemisphere or an area or lobe of the brain is not working to its full potential. As a result, it is not firing in the same frequency as the rest of the brain. To put it in another term, it is out of sync. Specific areas of the brain, when out of sync, will give you the symptoms associated with Asperger's. Now, what I do is evaluate the brain to locate which specific areas are out of sync. And once I determine this, I can recommend which activities and brain-based therapies are recommended to increase the function of the out-of-sync areas in the brain so that we can restore proper function throughout the brain. When this is accomplished, you're going to find a decrease in the symptoms often seen with Asperger's. Now, am I claiming that I've cured Asperger's? No, not at all. I'm not saying that I'm curing anything, but what if we're able to make the child more sociable, easier for them to communicate, perhaps even more coordinated? Now, anytime I'm working with the brain, I know how important it is for us to make sure that the brain is receiving the correct fuel so that it doesn't fatigue. The last thing we want is for an individual with Asperger's disorder to fatigue their brain. So with proper testing, we can actually analyze body chemistry with the intent of making sure that the brain is getting the proper fuel. This part of the care is referred to as the metabolic care, and it's achieved by specific questions and specific types of lab work. Understanding what nutritional deficiencies exist in the body will allow you to change your child's diet so that we can get more specific to the areas of the brain so that they will function, those specific areas will function at their optimum level, allowing your child then to express their true potential, whether it's physically, mentally, socially, academically, and or behaviorally. Now, I realize that I've given you a great deal of information. And to make it more personable to you and your child, I'm recommending that you call my office to set up a $27 screening. During the screening, I'm going to allow you to tell me what is going on specifically with your child. You can explain to me the history of the problem, tell me what you've tried, what has worked, what hasn't worked. I'll even perform a set of non-invasive tests to determine if your child has the potential to respond to my care, and I'll answer any and all of your questions. The information from this screening is going to let you know if your child is a likely candidate for this type of care. It's going to let us know what specific testing will be required to determine the specific therapies and nutritional support. It's going to tell us what type of care will be necessary to allow your child to reach their optimum level of physical, mental, social, emotional, academic, and behavioral level of performance. I'll discuss the cost of the care, the expectations you should have as a result of the care, and what will be expected of you for your child to get the most out of this care. Now, I want to get a thorough understanding of what is going on with your child. I want to see if this is someone that I can work with. And keep in mind that when I say I want to see if I can work with them, it has nothing to do with their level of hyperactivity or aggressiveness. There are certain things that I'm looking for that will let me know if I can have an impact on your child's life. So again, if you would like to schedule the $27 screening to determine what needs to be done for your child to reach their optimum level of physical, mental, social, emotional, academic, and behavioral level of performance, then be sure to call my office. I wish you, your family, and of course your child, nothing but the very best.